I never thought a single fleeting moment could shatter my entire world. My name is Vivian Harper, and just hours ago, I was driving home through the golden haze of an autumn sunset, my mind lost in the mundane rhythm of bills and dinner plans. My life with Mark, my rock of 6 years, felt safe, predictable, until a sickening crash on a quiet back road changed everything. Now, I'm drowning in a secret so dark, so heavy, it threatens to crush the very foundation of our marriage. What did I do to escape the wreckage, and can I keep it buried before it destroys us both? Picture this. I'm behind the wheel of my old, creaking car, the late afternoon sun casting long, golden streaks across the dashboard, and I'm humming a tune I can't quite place. My name's Vivian Harper, and at 32, I've settled into a life that's as steady as the ticking of a clock. My husband, Mark Harper, is 35, a mechanic with hands that are always smudged with grease, but a heart that's pure gold. We've been married for 6 years, living in a modest, 2-bedroom house on the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio, where the streets are quiet and the neighbors keep to themselves. Kids? Not yet, though we've tossed the idea around over late-night cups of coffee. For now, it's just us, and I'm okay with that. Our life isn't flashy, but it's ours, built on small joys and familiar rhythms. I work as a receptionist at a little dental office downtown, answering phones and scheduling appointments with a smile, even when my feet ache from standing too long. My ride to and from work is a 2005 Ford Focus that's more rust than metal these days. The hood's speckled with corrosion, the windshield's got a spiderweb crack I keep meaning to fix, and there's this annoying rattle under the chassis that I swear gets louder every day. But it gets me where I need to go, and that's enough. Most days, like today, I'm just counting down the minutes until I'm home, where I can kick off my shoes and figure out what to whip up for dinner. Mark's probably already there, wiping down his tools in the garage or sprawled on the couch with a cold drink, waiting for me to walk through the door. Driving home this afternoon, I took the back road I always do, a winding stretch lined with trees that are just starting to turn with the crisp bite of autumn in the air. The light filters through the branches, dappling the pavement, and I can feel the day's tension slowly unwinding from my shoulders. My mind's drifting to the mundane, bills piling up on the kitchen counter, whether we've got enough ground beef in the fridge for spaghetti, if I remembered to switch the laundry this morning. It's the kind of quiet, ordinary moment that makes up most of my life, and I don't mind it one bit. There's comfort in the hum of my beat-up car, the way the steering wheel feels under my hands, the predictability of it all. Earlier today, though, something caught my eye. Just a fleeting moment I didn't think much of at the time. I'd stopped at the gas station on my lunch break to fill up, wrestling with the pump as usual, when I noticed this group of guys near a sleek, flashy Porsche parked a few spots over. There were 4 of them, standing out like they didn't quite belong in our sleepy little corner of the world. The one who seemed in charge, a man in his late 30s named Ethan, had this sharp, commanding presence, like he owned the space around him without even trying. I didn't think much of it then, just a passing glance before I got back to my day. But now, as I'm driving along this quiet back road, the memory of that glossy black Porsche lingers in my mind for no reason I can pin down. Maybe it's just the contrast, my life, so plain and patched together, against something so polished and out of reach. I shake the thought away, focusing on the road ahead, or at least I try to. The sunset is what gets me. It's one of those rare, perfect ones, the kind you don't see every day. The sky is ablaze with streaks of orange and pink, blending into each other like a painting, so vivid it almost doesn't look real. I can't help myself. I steal a glance, just for a second, letting my eyes linger on the horizon. My hands loosen on the steering wheel, just a fraction, as I'm caught up in the beauty of it. And then, in an instant, everything changes. There's a sickening crunch, a jarring jolt that snaps me back to reality as my Ford slams into something hard. My body lurches forward, the seatbelt digging into my chest, and my forehead smacks against the steering wheel with a dull thud. Pain blooms across my brow, a throbbing ache that makes my vision blur for a moment. The airbag doesn't go off. Figures, since it's been busted for months and I never got around to fixing it. My car grinds to a halt, the engine sputtering out like it's just as stunned as I am. My heart is hammering in my chest, each beat loud in my ears as I sit there, frozen, trying to process what just happened. I fumble with the door handle, my hands trembling, and stumble out onto the shoulder of the road. The chilly autumn air hits me like a slap, biting at my skin through my thin jacket, but I barely notice. My legs feel like jelly, barely holding me up as I take in the damage. My Ford, already a sad sight on its best day, looks like it's been through a crusher. The front end is crumpled inward, a mess of twisted metal that I know is worth maybe $2,000 if I'm lucky. And then I see what I hit. A sleek, black Porsche, parked just off the shoulder, its rear bumper dented and one taillight shattered into a spider web of glass. My stomach drops. That car, even with the damage, screams money. Way more than I've ever had or ever will. I find out later it's worth over $100,000, a number that makes my head spin just thinking about it. I'm muttering to myself, my voice shaky and barely above a whisper, as panic claws at my insides. Oh no, this can't be happening. Insurance. I can't even afford the premiums half the time. Mark and I, we can't handle this. We're barely scraping by as it is. My thoughts are a jumbled mess, spiraling into worst-case scenarios as I stand there, staring at the wreckage. The quiet of the back road feels suffocating now, the beauty of the sunset long forgotten. I hear the crunch of gravel behind me, and my heart skips a beat as I turn to see the 4 men from earlier at the gas station stepping out of the Porsche. Ethan, the one with that commanding air, leads the group, his face a mask of cold calculation. The other 3 hang back, their expressions unreadable, but their presence feels like a weight pressing down on me. I'm alone out here, miles from help, and the realization makes my skin crawl. Ethan gestures for me to come closer as we fully pull over to the shoulder, my battered Ford limping behind their sleek machine. I hesitate, my feet rooted to the ground, but something in his gaze, sharp, unyielding, compels me to move. My hands are still shaking as I take a few steps forward, the gravel crunching under my worn sneakers. The air feels heavier now, charged with a tension I can't name. Ethan's voice cuts through the silence, low and deliberate, each word landing like a stone in my chest. We can make this simple, Vivian. No cops, no insurance, no repair bills. We'll forget this little mishap ever happened. But there's a price. I blink, confused, waiting for him to explain, but nothing could have prepared me for what comes next. He leans in slightly, his eyes locked on mine, and lays out their deal. They want me to betray Mark, to give myself to all 4 of them right here, right now, in a way I've never even considered. My breath catches in my throat, the world tilting under my feet as his words sink in. My stomach churns violently, like I've been punched, and I can feel bile rising as I struggle to process what he's asking. My hands tremble uncontrollably, clenched into fists at my sides, and my mind races with a mix of disbelief and raw disgust. I've always been faithful to Mark. Through every rough patch, every late-night argument over money or the future, cheating was never even a fleeting thought. I picture him now, probably in the garage at home, tinkering with some old engine part, his brow furrowed in concentration, trusting me completely. He doesn't deserve this. We've built a life together, imperfect as it is, and the thought of shattering that trust makes my chest ache with a pain I can't describe. But then there's the other side of it, the cold, hard reality staring me in the face. A legal mess. Thousands in damages for a car I can't even begin to pay for. Maybe losing everything we've scraped together over the years. Our house, our stability, all of it could crumble because of one stupid, distracted moment. I stand there, caught in a storm of my own making, my moral compass screaming at me to walk away, to tell them no and face the consequences, whatever they may be. But the fear of financial ruin, the weight of their stares, The isolation of this empty road, it all presses down on me, suffocating any resolve I might have had. My thoughts are a tangled mess, flipping between Mark's face and the image of us drowning in debt, losing the little we've managed to hold on to. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours, the silence between us thick and oppressive, until finally, I nod. My voice is barely a whisper, so quiet I'm not even sure they hear me at first, but I agree. The word feels like poison on my tongue, a betrayal of everything I stand for, but I say it anyway. What happens next is a blur of shadow and shame, something I can hardly bring myself to relive, even in my own mind. We move to a secluded spot just off the road, a wooded area where the last light of the setting sun barely reaches, casting everything in a dim, surreal haze. I force myself into a state of detachment, shutting down every part of me that wants to scream, to run, to fight. I can't look at them. As I slide back into the driver's seat of my battered Ford, the weight of what I've just done clings to me heavier than the lingering smell of pine from those woods. The engine sputters to life, coughing like it's as reluctant as I am to move forward, but I force my foot on the gas anyway. The road stretches out before me, dark now that the sun has dipped below the horizon, and I'm driving home in a daze, my mind a chaotic storm I can't escape. My hands grip the steering wheel so tight my knuckles bleach white, the strain shooting up my forearms like a dull burn. There's an ache in my chest, sharp and relentless, as if my heart is trying to claw its way out, to escape the guilt that's suffocating it. I'm holding back tears, biting the inside of my cheek until I taste the faint tang of copper, because I can't let myself break down. Not yet. Not when I still have to face Mark. Every mile I put between me and that secluded spot feels like a lie, a desperate attempt to outrun what I can't undo. My clothes still carry the earthy scent of the forest, a cruel reminder of the choice I made, and it mixes with the stale air inside the car, making my stomach turn. My mind replays the events over and over, a torturous loop I can't stop. How did I let myself sink so low? How did I trade my integrity, my loyalty, for a way out of a mess I created? I see flashes of Ethan's cold, calculating stare, the way his words twisted into something I never thought I'd hear, let alone agree to. I see myself, hollow and detached, going through with something so far from who I am, or who I thought I was. It wasn't just a betrayal of Mark, it was a betrayal of myself, and that cuts deeper than I can put into words. I think of Mark's face, that trusting smile he always has when I walk through the door, the way his eyes light up like I'm the best part of his day. He believes in me, always has, through every struggle we've faced together. And here I am, carrying a secret that would shatter him, that would tear apart the life we've built. I know I can't tell him the truth. It would destroy him, destroy us, and I can't bear the thought of seeing that trust in his eyes turn to pain. So I bury it, deep down where I hope it'll stay hidden, even as it gnaws at me from the inside. But the fear is there, sharp and constant. What if he sees through me? What if one look at my face gives it all away? The familiar outline of our street comes into view, and I pull into the driveway, the gravel crunching under my tires like a warning. Through the window, I see the warm glow of the living room light, a beacon of normalcy that feels so out of reach now. I cut the engine and just sit there for a few minutes, the silence of the car pressing in around me. My breathing is shallow, each inhale a struggle as I try to compose myself. I catch my reflection in the rearview mirror, and I barely recognize the woman staring back. My eyes are hollow, shadowed with something I can't name, and there's smudged mascara streaking down my cheeks like dark tears. I wipe at it with the back of my hand, smearing it further before giving up and forcing my face into a neutral expression. It's a mask, flimsy and unconvincing, but it's all I've got. That's when I notice the front of my car, the crumpled metal even more glaring under the faint streetlight. The dent is a stark reminder of how this nightmare started, and I realize I need a story, something to explain it away. My mind scrambles for a lie, something simple, believable. I settle on a half-truth. I hit a fence on the way home, a clumsy accident, no big deal. I rehearse the words in my head, my voice shaky, even in the privacy of my own thoughts. "Hey, Mark, you won't believe this, but I clipped a fence on the way." I take a deep breath, my hand trembling as I grip the doorknob, the cold metal grounding me for just a split second before I push it open. The familiar scent of motor oil and stale coffee hits me as I step into our modest living room, a smell that's always clung to Mark after a long day at the shop. My eyes find him immediately, sprawled on the couch in his worn work overalls, the fabric stained with grease streaks that never quite wash out. The TV blares with the sound of a football game, the commentator's voices a dull roar in the background. But Mark's not really watching. His head turns as I enter, and a tired but warm smile spreads across his face, the kind that usually melts away my stress. "Hey, Viv, how was your day?" he asks, his voice rough from hours of shouting over machinery, but still carrying that gentle undertone I've always leaned on. I force a smile back, but it feels like it's cracking at the edges, brittle and fake. My voice comes out too high, too tight, like I'm a stranger in my own skin. "It was fine, but I hit a fence on the way home. Just a little fender bender, nothing major." The words stumble out, tripping over each other in their rush to escape, and I can't bring myself to meet his gaze. Instead, I fix my eyes on the scuff marks marring the linoleum floor, those little black streaks from years of boots and dragged furniture. Anything to avoid seeing doubt flicker in his expression. My heart is pounding so hard, I'm sure he can hear it. Each beat a hammer against my ribs, screaming the truth I'm desperate to bury. Mark's brow furrows, and he pushes himself up from the couch with a grunt, the springs creaking under his weight. Concern etches lines deeper into his face as he steps closer, his work boots thudding softly against the floor. "You okay? Let's take a look," he says, already heading for the door, not waiting for an answer. My stomach twists into knots, a sick, heavy feeling that makes my legs feel like lead as I follow him outside. The cool night air bites at my skin, a sharp contrast to the sweat beading on my forehead despite the chill. I wrap my arms around myself, trying to hold in the storm raging inside me, but it's no use. Every step toward the car feels like I'm walking to my own execution, the crumpled hood of my Ford looming under the dim streetlight like a silent accusation. Mark stops in front of the damage, his broad shoulders tensing as he takes it in. He runs a calloused hand over the twisted metal, his fingers tracing the jagged edges with the practiced ease of someone who's fixed 100 wrecks like this. "Damn, Viv, you weren't kidding," he mutters, more to himself than to me, his voice tinged with a mix of frustration and worry. "I can probably bang this out myself, though. Save us a trip to the shop." He straightens up, turning to me with questions in his eyes, and I feel like I'm shrinking under his gaze, smaller and smaller until I might just disappear. "Where'd it happen? You sure you're not hurt?" I swallow hard, the lie I rehearsed in the car feeling like sand in my mouth now that I have to spit it out. "It was near the old farm road," I say, my voice barely steady, each word a tightrope I'm struggling to balance on. "Just a loose fence post I didn't see in time. I'm fine, really, just shook up a little." I'm sweating now, the dampness prickling at the back of my neck, and I shove my hands into my jacket pockets to hide how they're trembling. I wait for him to push, to ask why I seem so off, to notice the way my eyes keep darting away from his, or the way my breath hitches like I'm holding back a sob. I brace myself for the moment he sees through me, for the questions that could unravel everything I'm trying to keep locked away. But he doesn't. Instead, Mark just nods, his expression softening with a mix of relief and lingering concern. "All right, as long as you're okay. We'll sort it out," he says, his voice steady, like he's already mentally mapping out the repairs. He claps a reassuring hand on my shoulder, the warmth of his touch almost unbearable against the cold weight of my guilt. Then he turns and heads back toward the house, his boots crunching on the gravel, leaving me standing there by the wrecked car, feeling like the ground beneath me is crumbling. I linger on the porch for a moment after he disappears inside, the screen door creaking shut behind him with a faint thud. The night is so still, it's almost suffocating. The kind of quiet that presses against your ears until every small sound feels amplified. A neighbor's dog barks in the distance, a sharp, lonely sound that cuts through the silence and fades just as quickly. The street stretches out before me, swallowed by darkness beyond the faint glow of a single streetlight, its light flickering like it's struggling to stay alive. I grip the porch railing, the rough wood biting into my palms, and I notice my hands are still trembling, the shakes running up my arms like a current I can't shut off. It's not just the cold autumn air making me shiver, it's the weight of what I've done, settling into my bones like a sickness I can't shake. I've crossed a line today, one I can't step back over, no matter how much I wish I could. Mark bought the story about the fence, took it at face value with that trusting nature of his. But standing here, staring into the void of the night, I can't help but wonder how long I can keep this charade going. Every time I look at him, I see that trust in his hazel eyes, unwavering and pure, and it slices through me sharper than any blade ever could. It's not just the lie about the car, it's the deeper betrayal, the one I can't even whisper to myself in the dark. I made a choice out there on that back road, a choice that traded my honor for a way out, and now I'm left carrying a shame so heavy it feels like it's crushing my chest. I can still feel the phantom presence of Ethan and the others, Ryan, Caleb, Jake, driving off into the night after what happened, probably chuckling to themselves like it was nothing, like they didn't just shatter something inside me. They got what they wanted and left me to bear the burden alone, to live with the memory of a moment I'll never be able to wash away, no matter how hard I scrub at my skin or my soul. I tell myself I have to bury this day, lock it away in some corner of my mind where it can't touch me, where it can't taint every waking moment. I'll never speak of it, not to Mark, not to anyone. I'll carry it silently, let it fester in the shadows of my thoughts. Because the alternative, letting it spill out, letting him know, would destroy everything we've built. But even as I make that vow, there's a gnawing fear clawing at the edges of my resolve. What if they come back? What if Ethan or one of the others decides this isn't over, that they want more? Or worse, that they'll use what happened as leverage against me? What if someone saw something out there on that desolate road, a passing car or a hidden witness, someone who could piece together the truth from the wreckage and the whispers? The thought sends a fresh wave of panic through me, my grip tightening on the railing until my knuckles ache. I can't predict the future, can't control what might come creeping out of the darkness, and that uncertainty is a blade hovering over my neck, waiting to fall. I force myself to take a deep breath, the cold air stinging my lungs, and I turn back toward the house. I have to act normal, have to play the part of the Vivian Mark knows, the one who's just rattled from a minor accident and nothing more. I step inside, the warmth of the living room wrapping around me like a false comfort. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story.